Okay, imagine this scene. The Buddha, the picture of calm wisdom, he's doing his daily alms round. It's in Rajagaha, pretty busy city.
Right.
And right there, in the middle of everything, he stops. Not for a king, not for some miracle, but for a piglet.
A piglet, yeah. And not just any piglet, one eating, well, excrement in the street.
Exactly. And then the Buddha smiles, a
Mm-hmm.
big, radiant smile.
It's such a striking image, isn't it? Really makes you stop and think, what on earth could make an enlightened being smile at that?
That's what we're digging into today. This moment, it's the key that unlocks this incredible story.
Absolutely. It's not just some curious little event. It's a starting point for something profound.
We're drawing from this ancient text, the Sūkarapotikāvatthu, basically the story of the piglet.
Originally Pali with Thai interpretations, it gives us this amazing glimpse into Buddhist storytelling and philosophy.
So our mission today is to unpack why he smiled. How does this tiny moment reveal, like countless lives, deep teachings about craving and this whole journey to freedom?
Yeah, and you might find some real aha moments yourself about, why suffering sometimes feels like it just keeps coming back.
Okay, so the scene is set. Rajagaha.
Hmm.
Busy street. Buddha smiles at the piglet. And Ananda, his closest disciple, he sees this.
Naturally, Ananda's always observant.
Right, and he's got to ask, doesn't he? He goes up to the Buddha and says, essentially, why the smile? What's the reason?
And the Buddha's response is so direct. He doesn't launch into some big philosophical thing straight away. He just points right at the piglet.
Wow.
As if to say, the answer's right there, Ananda. And then he starts explaining its past, not just like its recent past, but way, way back.
So what was the explanation? Where did this piglet come from, karmically speaking?
Well, the Buddha reveals that this very piglet, believe it or not, was once a hen.
A hen? Seriously?
Yep, a hen living near an assembly hall. This was back during the time of the previous Buddha, Pakusanda.
Oh, yeah.
And here's the crucial bit. That hen, just by being nearby, it overheard a monk reciting the Vipassana meditation subject.
Just heard it.
Just heard it. And that simple act of hearing the teaching, even as a hen, was enough to plant a seed. It fundamentally shifted her karmic path.
That's incredible. It shows how powerful just encountering wisdom can be, even passively.
Exactly. A tiny cause, huge effect down the line.
So a hen listening in kind of makes you wonder about what your pets are picking up on, huh?
Ah, maybe. But her journey gets even wilder.
Go on.
After she died as the hen, she wasn't reborn as, like, another bird or something.
Right.
She was reborn into a royal family, became a princess named Ubari.
From a hen to a princess. That's quite the upgrade.
It is. And then something else happened. One day, she was in a lavatory, of all places.
Okay, not very glamorous for a princess.
Not really. But she saw a pile of worms there. And seeing those worms, it wasn't just disgust, it triggered something deeper. A perception of worms, the text says.
A perception. What does that mean?
It seems like it was a moment of insight into the nature of existence, maybe impermanence or suffering, sparked by this very mundane sight. And that insight was so powerful.
Powerful enough for what?
Powerful enough that she attained the first jhana. That's a deep state of meditative concentration.
Wow, from seeing worms.
Yes. And she apparently lived out the rest of her life in that meditative state.
So she went from hen to princess to this deeply meditative state. Surely that's a good trajectory.
You'd think so. And after that life, she was reborn even higher in the Brahma world, a celestial realm. Very high, very refined state.
Okay, so things are looking up.
But, and this is key, even that wasn't permanent. The Buddha explained that because of wandering due to karmic force, Gadavasena alulamana is the Pali term, basically, the momentum of past karma still playing out. She eventually fell from that high realm and was reborn as
The piglet.
the piglet eating excrement in Rajagaha.
Wow. So the Buddha's smile, it wasn't amusement, it was recognition.
Profound recognition. He saw that entire sweep of history in that single being. The hen hearing the Dharma, the princess attaining jhana, the Brahma being, and now, the piglet.
It really hammers home the impermanence of everything, doesn't it? Even heavenly realms aren't forever if the root cause isn't dealt with.
Precisely. And you can imagine the impact this had on Ananda and the other monks who were listening.
Yeah, I bet.
The text says they felt savega. It's this, like, deep spiritual emotion, a sense of urgency. It wasn't just a cool story for them.
It was a lesson about their own potential journeys, their own cycle of rebirth.
Exactly. And seeing their reaction, the Buddha then gave this really core teaching. He used the moment to explain the real root of all this cycling, all this suffering.
Which is
Craving.
Pacho.
Craving, the big one.
The big one. He used this analogy of a tree. He said, look, even if you cut down a tree, if its roots are strong and undamaged,
It'll just grow back.
it'll just grow back. And in the same way, suffering dukkha will keep arising again and again, as long as the underlying craving, the tanusaya, isn't totally pulled out by the roots.
And how do you do that? With enlightened wisdom, the knowledge gained on the path to arahantship, to full enlightenment. That's the only thing sharp enough to cut those roots for good.
So craving isn't just wanting stuff. It's deeper, like this hidden root system.
Exactly. He talked about these 36 streams of craving.
36.
Yeah, basically flowing from our senses towards pleasant objects, clouding our minds, leading to wrong views. He also called craving a lata a creeper vine.
A creeper. I like that image. It wraps around everything.
It does. It grows through our senses, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, mind, and just latches onto things, binds us.
So the instruction was clear. Cut the root.
Cut the root with wisdom. Use that path knowledge like a sharp blade to sever the creeper. He also warned about getting attached to pleasant feelings, somanasa.
The joys he mentioned.
Right. He said they're often stained with affection, and people who just chase pleasure and satisfaction, they're the ones who keep getting caught in birth, old age, sickness, death. Over and over.
He really paints a picture of being trapped.
He does. Another image he used was of creatures surrounded by craving, running around frantically like a rabbit caught in a snare.
Yikes.
Bound by Jhana, these 10 fetters or mental chains, and saga, these attachments like lust, clinging, all ensuring that suffering continues for a very long time.
So it's a pretty stark diagnosis, but what's the prescription?
The prescription is direct. Therefore, a monk desiring dispassion for oneself should remove that craving.
Dispassion, meaning nibbana.
Freedom. Exactly. Strive for nibbana.
Yeah.
Use the arahant path to drive out, discard, and ultimately extinguish craving.
And did this teaching land? Did the monks get it?
Oh, absolutely. The text says that right after hearing this, many in the assembly attained Sūkarapotikāvatthu, which is stream entry, the first stage of enlightenment, and others reached higher stages too.
Wow. So the story of the piglet directly led to people waking up.
Directly. It was that powerful.
But wait, the piglet's story. It didn't end there, did it? It was more to her journey.
No, it didn't end there at all. That's another amazing part of this narrative. Her journey continued, showing that the path is long, but liberation is possible.
So what happened after her life as a piglet?
Okay, get ready for the list. After dying as the piglet, she was reborn in Suvantabhumi, in a royal family again.
Back to royalty.
Then reborn in Bharatasi. Then in Suparkapana, in a horse merchant's family.
A different social strata now.
Yep. Then Gavirapatana, a sailor's house. Then Anuradhapura, in a noble's house. Quite the tour of ancient India and Sri Lanka.
Seriously. And finally,
She was born as a daughter named Sumana into a householder's family in a village called Bekantagama.
Sumana. So this is her final human form in the story.
This is the crucial one. Her family moved at some point, and she ended up marrying a high official, Lakunta Atambara.
Right.
And then one day, a highly respected monk, Ananda Thera, who clearly had some deep insight himself, he saw her. And talking to some other monks, perhaps remembering the Buddha's original story or through his own perception, he just casually remarked, "The piglet has become the great minister's wife."
Whoa. He just said it out loud.
Seems so. Maybe not directly to her, but within earshot.
And Sumana heard this.
She heard it, and this is the mind-blowing part.
Yeah.
Hearing that simple comment, "The piglet has become the great minister's wife," it triggered her memory. Instantly.
What, like all of it?
All of it. She gained Jatisaranya, the ability to recollect all her past lives.
Just like that, from one comment.
Just like that. Imagine that flood of memory. The hen, the princess, the Brahma, the piglet, the merchant's family, the sailor's family, everything. Suddenly crystal clear.
That must have been overwhelming,
Mm-hmm.
but also incredibly motivating.
Absolutely. The text says she was filled with savega again, that spiritual urgency. But this time, it was personal, immediate. She knew her own story.
So what did she do?
She went to her husband, explained things, got his permission, and ordained as a nun. She joined 5 other senior respected nuns.
She committed fully to the path.
Completely. And her progress was rapid. She heard a discourse on the Mahasatipahana Sutta, the great discourse on the foundations of mindfulness, and attained stream entry, Sūkarapotikāvatthu.
The first stage of enlightenment.
Correct. Later, she went back to her family's original village, Bekantagama. While she was there, she heard another important sermon, the Sutta,
Ah,
and she attained arahantship, full enlightenment, the end of suffering, the end of rebirth.
from piglet to arahant, that's just incredible.
It really is, and the story confirms this. On the day she passed away, her parinibbana, the other nuns, asked her about her journey.
And she told them.
She recounted the whole thing. She explicitly confirmed experiencing 13 different states, atapa, listing them out, highs and lows, human, animal, celestial, renunciant, right up to her final liberation.
13 lives explicitly recalled.
And her very last words to the other nuns were words of encouragement. I am now born in the highest state. All of you should strive with diligence.
Wow.
Then, having inspired everyone present, she passed into final nibbana.
What a journey. Just what an epic journey, all sparked by that smile at a piglet.
It really brings it all together, doesn't it? So when we ask, what does this deep dive really mean for you, listening now?
Yeah, what's the takeaway?
I think it's a powerful reminder. Doesn't matter where you are right now, what your life looks like, what your past might contain the potential for insight, for waking up, for getting free from that cycle of suffering. It's always there.
Always present.
Yeah.
Even if you feel like you're, the piglet in the story sometimes.
Especially then, perhaps. The lowest points can contain the seeds of the greatest transformations.
So maybe the final thought to leave everyone with is this. If that piglet's long, winding road could end in complete freedom, what roots of craving, what hidden patterns might be running our lives right now?
What's waiting to be seen?
What's waiting to be seen, and maybe, just maybe, ready to be cut with a little bit of wisdom?